in. We'll get started by 1 minute. Guys, I have some sign-in sheets up here at the front. If you'll sign in, and then just have a seat anywhere. I appreciate everybody. Guys, we got some, if anybody's hungry, we got some leftover sandwiches up there. I know from some faculty luncheons that we've had this week. We're working registration, so we're all eating off those sandwiches. If anybody's hungry, you are welcome to have one. We're trying to finally get rid of them. Mr. Rosser, how are we doing on time? Hey, Mr. Starr. We're good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live via YouTube, and so without further ado, I'm going to get started. We do have some parents coming in. We have registration events going on, and I know some parents are just getting off work and rushing to getting here. Parents, if you're new to Kennedale High School, I want to welcome you. My name is Michael Kegel. I am principal at Kennedale High School. This is my 10th year in Kennedale ISD. It's my 6th year as principal of the high school. Before that, I was principal for 3 years at the junior high and an AP, the one other year remaining out of those previous 9 years. So going into the 10th year and the 6th year at the high school, and most certainly I'd say the most eventful years have been the last couple with COVID and then what I call post-COVID reopening. And so, but we're glad we're getting into the second year of more normalcy. I want to welcome all of our parents and the new Wildcats coming in. I've got a lot of information for you. We do have some changes this year. For instance, this will be the first time in about 20 years that this high school starts after 8 o'clock. At least 20 years. It may be longer than that, maybe about 30 years. So we are going to a later start. I'll talk a little bit about why some of those decisions were being made, or at least why as principal advocated for some of those. If you are an older person like me and you like those mornings and you like getting up at 4 or 5 a.m. like I do, an early start was great for you, but it was not great for everyone. And so we'll see some things and talk about some trends that we saw that made us want to try to push for an 8:30 start. And hopefully that experiment will go well this year, and we'll see some of the benefits that we think it'll have. But regardless, welcome everybody. I've got parents that are here in front of me live. Parents, if you are here live, you're going to have the ability to ask some questions. I always start meetings with a universal signal typically. Students, you're going to hear this throughout the year. If you see me raise my hand, if you see me talk of the phrase, "Wildcats, may I have your attention, please?" That is going to be our universal signal to get your attention. So at this meeting tonight, if I have to regain your attention, you may hear the universal signal. I ask that you set aside your work or your conversations, focus your eyes back on me, and try to do that within about 5 seconds. We're going to have our first big freshman meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow's fish camp from 11 to 2. And I'm going to lead that off, kick that off. I'll say a few things, then they're going to tackle me off the stage. Once I get the microphone, you guys know I like to talk if you've been here in the district for a while. And then we'll hand that over to our student council. But I'll welcome our freshmen and freshmen. If you're there tomorrow, help me out. That's the way I'll get everybody's attention. We're going to talk a lot this year. We came off the post-COVID year, and one of the things that we saw is that when kids were out of school for COVID for 15 months, parents, they had a lot of unstructured time, and when they came back to school, we had a lot of assumptions that they were going to know how to do school when they came back. And guess what we learned last year across the country? They did not. And so we are going to spend a lot of times this year making sure we have strong expectations. You'll notice some of my, if you've gotten some of my emails over the last couple of years, you'll notice some things have started to change. I'm becoming a little bit more clear. I'm reworking the way I do things and making sure that my expectations for kids, for parents, for teachers are clear. They're written, they're communicated orally, and all of those things. So we're going to work on those. But during this meeting, let's talk about your expectations. I ask that you guys, if you're in here tonight, we are recording. That's not going to allow me to move away from our microphone very much here or get in front of the screen. I do want to thank Mr. Rosser in the back. He is filming tonight. He's got 2 cameras going. If you don't know, Mr. Rosser is in our AV program. He's got a lot of experience. He came to Kennedale with a lot of experience from a lot of TV stations and news networks. And so all you freshmen out there that are in our AV program, he's got some exciting things in his program happening. We got a lot of students entering the practicum year. They're going to be doing UIL film competitions and entering different films and documentaries and animated stuff. And so, Mr. Rosser, you're back there. I do appreciate you. Guys, we're not going to have any breaks. I'm going to go as fast as I can. I got a lot of slides in here. Parents, I know you got off work. Anybody in here that needs to take care of your personal business, you can do so. You can exit out the back doors and go back into the cafeteria area where registration was, and you can use the restrooms there in the cafeteria. Does anybody have any questions on where those are? All right. So please take care of yourself, and then students, if you're here, you're going to see this heard a lot. We're going to be talking about levels of voice and our expectations. I'm going to ask that when a presenter or when I'm speaking that use a level 0 voice. Now, in this auditorium, if we do get into discussion or question answer time, I am going to ask that you speak up because I'm going to try to repeat what you say for viewers at home on YouTube. I'll have a lot of parents that have a lot of student nights at our other campuses tonight, and so they'll be re-watching this. I want to make sure if you have a question, they may have the same so that I repeat it. But I'm going to pause every once in a while, and parents, sometimes you'll have to help me out, flag me down, and I'll try to get to questions when we have it. Parents, I do try to communicate a lot. You might get a lot of text messages from me. You might get a lot of things about newsletters. You might get a lot of emails, and you might see things on Facebook. And if you are a very active parent, a lot of that may seem repetitive. But I do a lot of those things on purpose. I try to make it as easy as possible for our parents and our students so that you don't have to go and look and retrieve information. Parents, I do apologize for any repetitiveness, or you're going, oh, there's Kegel again on a Saturday. He's texting, he's sending emails out. I want you to know I'm trying to do that to help you. I know emails get buried. I know that you're busy. I know that some things. Parents, if you can help me out, parents always say, Mr. Kegel, what can I do to support you? The biggest thing that I can do, that you can do, is check your communications, but also teach your children to check your communications. For our freshmen and some of them, they are entering that age where email's important in our lives. It's how you get your bank passwords, and it's how you communicate. It's how you follow up with employers on resumes and job interviews and those kind of things. But this is the age where we need to teach them those skills. For instance, I've learned some things. All the parents and students out there, if you are checking your emails, please check your spam folders. I noticed that because more and more of your emails come from Kennedale High School or from your teachers, some things I've seen students not get because they might have a Gmail account or some kind of account where it gets sent to spam. So how can you help me? If you can help me get your kids to check the email, I will be ecstatic. Just show of hands. Let's say I got quite a good audience here tonight, right now. How many of you, for instance, have read some of my recent emails or newsletters? Just show of hands. This is not a test or anything. Some of you are kind of like, well, I kind of did. I opened it. But you'll notice I do try to get the information out there. I hope that it's made this process a little bit easier. Up on the screen, you're going to see some things here. If you missed anything in email, that's okay. We're also using the KHS website. If you go to www.kennedaleisd.net, you can also, under schools, select Kennedale High School. There's the link to our direct email. Parents, by the way, if you're out there writing things down or wanting this, tomorrow morning I'm going to send this presentation to you. So all the links that are buried in here, you can click. Okay? So everybody, take a break, just relax. I'll send this to you. You'll have it on YouTube. If you want to spend another hour tomorrow listening to Mr. Kegel, you can do it. Put your kids right to sleep. All right, but here we go. Everybody, we've got some back-to-school sessions. I want to welcome you. The first thing I want to do in the back-to-school night, I'm assuming that you're here. We're on Thursday of this week. Tomorrow's our last registration day. It's our senior day. Juniors went today. I did see a good number of juniors on there. I've tried to, again, make things as easy as possible, especially for our upperclassmen. There's actually a lot of things for our 11th and 12th graders to take into consideration when registering, even more so than our younger kids because of the programs that they're in. And some responsibilities they have. Like this is a lot of times the first time they've driven to campus. Okay, and so we're going to make sure they have all of that information. Now, one thing I'm going to say about our presentation tonight, it is not meant to be comprehensive. Parents, it is not your responsibility to know everything for your high school age child. Okay, we're going to have class meetings during the first week of school, and I'm going to make sure I go over the expectations with them as well. Okay, at their age, we are trying to prepare them for adulthood, and we do want them to take responsibility and know their expectations. But I am going to try to cover a lot tonight. I do have some follow-up things coming in the next couple of weeks. You might get emails from my administrative team, my counselors, and from me directly. For instance, we're going to send some things out in the newsletter like traffic patterns, where to park. I'm not going to do some of those things tonight because I've already got a lot of information for you. Everybody that is a student here, we can go in and you can register. The main first step that I put out there is that you need to do a registration, online registration, through our student data system, which is called Ascender. And there are two different links when you go here at the Kennedale ISD website. There's one for new students and one for returning Kennedale ISD students. And so, show of hands, how many of you have completed that first step? All right, everybody in the room. All right, now I'm going to give you a document, and I've sent it out in the newsletter. I've tried to put together a step-by-step process to follow. But if you always say, they always say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, and you got to get started, right? And so right now, if you're going to try to conquer this process of registration, this is the first step, the first place to go. If you have any assistance, and as I say that, and I put the wrong name in here, by the way, we have, for the first time since I've been in Kennedale, I'm going to be without Dawn Ramirez, who retired last year. She was longtime counselor here in Kennedale ISD. And I put, we did hire a new counselor. I'll go through the counselor's name. I put my wrong Spanish contact there. Miss Long is actually the counselor that speaks Spanish, but you can call Miss Hunt if you need to. But we do have Spanish help for anybody that needs it. And we've got our nurse also speaks Spanish here at Kennedale High School. So I have a counselor and a nurse, but you do not have a principal that speaks Spanish. So do not try to speak Spanish to Mr. Kegel. It will be very difficult. But we do have lots of translators. We even have a pretty big parent representation of parents that speak Vietnamese. Any parents out there that speak Vietnamese that need help, we do have help here in the district for you and can get translation. We may need more heads up on that as we don't have anyone directly on the campus. So, all right, but anyway, guys, if you need help with the registration, that's what we're here. Anybody that has not attended this week, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, may all attend tomorrow from 2 to 6 p.m. here at the high school. Anybody out there that picks this presentation up on Facebook or anything else, our new to district students, we encourage you to complete the registration process, but the other big important step is we like all of our new to district students, we like them to have one-on-one meetings with their families, with our counselors, and that way they get to build a rapport, a relationship, and then they get to make sure that their transcripts and all that match up, and they get scheduled in the right courses, right grade, and all of those things, and get all the services from Kennedale ISD that they need. But if you are new to district students, I've got a lot of information there on the screen. That's a lot to read, but it is in the newsletter, and I'll show you where that is. Registration can be tough. The very opening sentence of my registration newsletter says this can be a frustrating process. Parents, did y'all have to do a lot of stuff? A lot of forms, upload this, get this, find the water bill. It can be a lot. And then if you're an older student, I said, there's a parking permit form. There's a thing. So one of the things that we've tried to do is I do have two things to help our parents. I sent out via email. I've put these on Facebook. But again, you guys will have these links if you haven't seen it yet in your emails. I put together a quick guide, which I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. And then there is a SMORE, a digital newsletter. I checked today, and it was like right at 1,975 people had read or at least clicked on the newsletter. That was probably me 20 times and then some of you. But we have had a pretty good response. Now, that sounds like a lot of people, but we have 1,000 students. And the total reach when I send that out to parents and students is over 3,000 people. So I know still we've got about half of our reach with that newsletter. Again, that's why I encourage you, check your emails. Parents, sit down with your students, go through that with them. That's how you can help me, and that's how you can help your child be successful. But I've got a quick guide that I sent out. It looks like that. Anybody see that? Step-by-step process. If you actually go in the newsletter, this is in there, that SMORE newsletter, those links are clickable in the newsletter. All you got to do is go to the picture. And so pretty neat technology there. But there's a lot of forms, okay? And we encourage everybody to do the online application. We encourage everyone in our district. The last 2 years since COVID, every child has eaten free in schools across the United States. This number 2 was not a form that parents had to fill out. It is the Texas application, national application for free and reduced price school meals. And so, parents, I encourage you to fill that out no matter what, especially if you got an upperclassman. If you qualify for free and reduced lunch program, you can get a lot of benefits, not just meals. You can get reduced or free college application fees. I've seen students that's saved hundreds of dollars with, right, Ms. Middleton? And we have had, you can get SAT and ACT waivers. Once you qualify, we have some of those waivers available. Now, we do provide a school day here at the school, but still, your student could take that test off campus. Is it once or is it many times?
If they have a waiver, I believe they can take it 2 additional times off campus.
So if they've got a waiver and they qualify for free or reduced lunch, they can get up to 2 more opportunities to take some of those college entrance exams.
The difference in price here is 55 and 8. So
All right.
It
It's a significant difference. So she says there's roughly a $47 difference in price for the reduced fee or things like that. It is huge, guys. It can qualify you for a lot of things. We recommend you fill it out, see if you qualify or not. I always say the worst thing they can tell you is no. All right? And so every family, I say that. We got something new here tonight. I've got some updates and changes. One of the biggest changes with Kennedale ISD, we do have one of our board members here tonight. The board in the spring voted for us to become an open enrollment high school. Not the entire district, but our high school. A couple of things. I've advocated for that as principal over the last couple of years, and a little bit of that is, again, I said this is my 10th year. The district now is actually a little bit smaller than what it was when I got here. The district has shrunk a little bit over that decade. Now we expect y'all see the apartments going, and you're going, wait a minute, what are you talking about, shrink? We do expect some of that growth, but the demographic study that was done here in Kennedale ISD showed an interesting thing. Now, while right now we have a healthy enrollment that looks like we're going to be right at the 1,000 students we've had for the past 15 years here at Kennedale High School. What's happened when you look after this, the 4 classes behind us actually were part of the group that had the low birth rates in that demographic study. And in fact, we could expect that after this year, we will start seeing the incoming cohort shrink. And so this is kind of a preemptive strike just in case we need to add students. I'll say this, right now we've gotten some students, and I would say with any parent out there that the board and has had some discussion, and we've put some qualifications and that enrollment thing, I am looking at those applications with my team and having meetings with parents and making sure they've got all the documents. Here's one thing I can assure. Number one, we don't have just an extreme number of people that are doing that application, but I'll say this, for any parents that have any worries with that out there, right now, and I've said this before, if Kennedale ISD and Kennedale High School ever went open enrollment, the best students would want to come to Kennedale because of our size, location, and all the programs we offer. And I'm seeing that in a lot of the applications we get. So I want to, if any parents are worried about that or ever want to have that discussion, come on into the office and I'll talk with you. But it is what I expected right now. This is a popular high school. We do have a lot of good programs. Kennedale has a good academic reputation and a good fine arts reputation and those kind of things. And so it is marketable. But I know that people's big worries with open enrollment is, we're going to end up with I don't know what the worst fears are. I don't know what those are, but I can only imagine. I've seen social media posts with those fears, and so I'm just trying to let everybody know. I think we've allowed, I think, a little bit more than between 5 and 10 students on the open enrollment that are actually new to Kennedale. Most of the kids on the open enrollment application that I think we've let in are actually students that already went to school here, or are returning students that maybe moved out of district. So it's not a lot, but we are open enrollment, so that's an extra step if anybody is open enrollment. So these steps there, and hopefully, how many did number 5? Number 5 is we tried to have good customer service. We tried to have help here. For instance, we had bus representatives on site at our registration events. I hope everybody attended those. And then tomorrow, our big event, and I'll talk more about that, is our fish camp. It's our freshman orientation. Some other things that I'll point to in the registration process, that these are just reminders for parents that I've got up there. If you are a student with a parking that drives to school in parks or drives on campus, I hope that you have a license. I hope that you are in a car that's insured, and those can sometimes be problems. I will say with that, and then number 8, we still offer our senior class. If you are a senior, we give off-campus lunch privileges, and that's one of the great things about coming to Kennedale High School, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But number 7 and number 8, the off-campus lunch and parking permits this year, parents, did any of you fill that out? We moved those to digital formats where you could do everything like upload your driver's license and your ID cards and all of that digitally. Parents, I think most of you probably did that from an iPhone, am I right? Okay, so you could do both of those processes with your student, and y'all didn't have to come up to the school. So I'm hoping that made it easier for you. Our administrative team has worked hard to get those things in order. But with that, we do have some privileges for students here at Kennedale High School. Now, that is a privilege right there we're going to ask our students to use wisely. If you are an underclassman or you don't qualify for off-campus lunch, the one thing that I would say to you is that make sure you don't go off-campus. We've got an AP team this year that's on the lookout, and if you get caught doing that, you are subject to disciplinary action. So I don't want you to get in trouble. Just know the qualifications there. You got to be a senior, or you got to be a junior that worked your way up to have a CTE practicum. That's the capstone class of any CTE strand, like our practicum in business, our practicum in STEM, our health science practicum, where you go out to the hospitals. But we got some other things. If you got a student and you want to add money, if you need a lunch account for your student, again, not everybody gets free lunches this year like we had the last couple of years. But if you do need a lunch account, even for a drink, we're going to go over our bell schedule in a few minutes. I'm going to just say, guys, you look at that bell schedule. Our lunches do not start till 12, and the C lunch actually starts, I think, about 1:15. Okay? So parents, I need you to keep that in mind. Students, you need to eat breakfast. And parents, I need you to know that, but your kids are going to be quite hungry, especially if they start the morning out in marching band where it's been warm and they've been burning a lot of calories and a lot of that. So anyway, the last thing there, number 11, very important, parents, it's a step that we often miss. You think you're almost done, and then you got a kid in athlete or band and all this. If you got an athlete out there, I've got a link there that will take you to all the forms you need. I did talk with our athletic trainers and our athletic directors, and that link will take you there. There are 2 types of forms there. One is the medical evaluation form, and I think that has to be done by a medical physician. Is that correct? Athletes, help me out on that. And then the other is the UIL form. Okay? Now, one is done in the what's called Rank 1 online system. The other is another more like PDF form that you fill out. But that's a link that can take you. If you have any questions there, you can contact one of our athletic directors. But tomorrow, if you made it through the process and you're a parent of a freshman out there, hey, if you got your kids at home tomorrow, I'm going to say don't miss out on this. We will actually have only about half of our freshman class show up. This is truly a fun time. I'm going to assume that not all of them are watching right now. We start off with a kickoff in this auditorium with our band and cheerleaders. Okay? It is a time to celebrate. They are very nervous. I saw them on Monday at registration. They're in the building. They got all those anxiety and fears. They do team building games. They learn about traditions. They learn the fight song. They learn just the Kennedale way, I guess, sometimes. They get to hear from, like our athletic director, things they need to know. This is kind of like getting them into school so that on the first day, they know how to open their locker. They know how to do all of these things, and that first day it's not all new to them. So they'll get tours of the building. They'll see the nooks and crannies, the hallways. But we want your child to be prepared so they have a comfortable first day and first week. Okay? Bring them. If you're a freshman, we hope you come. All right. We did have a local apartment provider or apartment complex. It's the Alta Landing. I'm going to give them a shout out there. I did in the email. They bought 550 hot dogs. So we do need all the freshmen to show up to eat all these hot dogs so that we can have a staff and freshman hot dog mixer there so you guys can get to know some of the teachers, and we can all, teachers have been in service and take a break and eat hot dogs and celebrate together, and the teachers are going to have their convocation that morning. So tomorrow's really a big celebration kickoff before the first of school. We hope your kids come. Kennedale High School is a Google campus. We use Chromebooks. This is not the first year if you've been in Kennedale, but for anybody that's new, it might be. So I want to remind everyone, all of our teachers will have Google Classrooms, and parents, I will send out Google Classroom codes. Some of you might get invitations directly from your kids' teachers, where you can see all of the things that they post in there, and this is a way that we communicate. Now, what is Google Classroom? It's kind of like a social media site for classrooms, and they can post assignments, instructions, announcements, events. They can do lots of things. Kids actually turn in assignments on there. Our teachers are way better at it than me, I guarantee you, because I don't use that on a regular basis. But you will also have access to that. We want all of our parents to feel invited and welcome in our schools so that they can have access to the curriculum and all of those resources in there and see what's going on. But Google Classrooms, and so if you want to, you can go to classroom.google.com. But pretty soon I'm going to get I collect all of the teachers' Google Classroom codes. I'll do that in the next week or two. I'm not in a rush right now as our teachers are still working on those things. And I'll send I'll send a link out to parents, and actually you'll be able to search for your kid's teacher and class period, and you'll be able to find their Google Classroom. So, but students, if you're out there, you're going to have a email address. It's usually like your graduation year, your last name, and then a first initial, unless we've got lots of, for instance, J. Smiths like you see on the screen, and your password. You need to keep that, and you need to know that, because that's how you get into everything. All right? We have gone into single logons. That is your lifeline. You need to know that. That is your Gmail account. That's how you check your email. That's how you do everything. So parents, again, how can you help? You can make sure that your student knows their username and password. What if they forget their Chromebook at home and have to use your computer or your phone or whatever, or at school or whatever? I don't know what the case may be. But this is something, again, you can keep up with and help your student keep organized. If you have issues with your Chromebook this year, this is a change. We've usually run our Chromebook repair out of Chromebook. If any kid that forgot their Chromebook had issues, had a cracked screen, something didn't work, we did all of that out of the Kennedale High School Library. Eventually, that's going to transition this year to our computer maintenance program. We're building that strand a little bit differently, and our students are going to be running that program, where they're going to be doing the work, the maintenance, the inventory, the sending off for repairs, and I think, am I right, Miss Middleton? They are soon going to be trained to do some of the minor repairs on those Chromebooks. So that is in-house, students taking care of students and being responsible for the processes on campus. But right now, I'm going to give you two contacts. If you have a Chromebook at home right now, your returning students kept them over the summer. Here's some contact information. You can contact either Miss Fable, who's in charge of that computer science or computer maintenance program, or our librarian right now, who is the district lead librarian. That is Allison Booble. There's their emails. Again, parents, I'll send this out. It's in this. You don't need to write that down. You can get that information. But just know, if you look and find, hey, your kid's Chromebook's under the bed, you notice they stepped on it and the screen's cracked. Let's go ahead and get that taken care of. That is their Chromebook. The Chromebook that they are issued, freshmen, is the one you'll keep to your senior year. You better take care of that, or you're going to have some problems. But also, parents, please note there are some repairs that come with warranty, and then there's some repairs that don't. And so all of that will be in the technology forms you'll be getting at the first of the year. So just, again, another way that you can help, make sure your kid take care of your Chromebook. Most of our resources at Kennedale High School are online. The days of all of us who carried lots of books and had big, thick books, there are very few classes with physical textbooks anymore. All right? That Chromebook is their lifeline to Google Classroom, to their instructional resources. They do things now, guys. They will upload videos, verbal responses. They edit worksheets in something called Cami, but that is their lifeline. This is also your lifeline and theirs. Right now, you need to make sure that parents, you keep up with your information and kids keep up with theirs. But our student system, our data system is called a sender. That's where our grade book goes through. So if you ever hear Mr. Cagle say a sender, we have a parent, teacher, and student portal. The teachers go in to put grades in through the teacher portal, and parents and students may access their student information. You may access report cards, schedules. I believe this is where you go register, correct, parents? So everyone, if you are to help a neighbor, help a kid, this is it. Keep up with your information, okay? You guys can see things that I don't always have the access to see, and you have information to your child's information and all of those things. So this is how you see, I believe, transcripts, report cards, progress reports. Now, we are going to do a little bit more printing this year in the last couple of years, especially through COVID. We're going to send home some report cards. Again, that was a request of our parents that they made in the needs assessment process. But you guys can check the grades anytime. I say, kiddos, you should not be surprised that you're failing. Now, our teachers on their end have to keep up with their end and enter grades and all that. That's my responsibility to make sure they're doing that. But there you go. Any questions on the parent portal? By the way, go back just one step. The contact down at the bottom, that is Miss Allstott. She works in the assistant principal's office. She's your contact if you lose your password or can't get access. All right? So you know how to troubleshoot that issue? We good? Okay. I'm going to pause right there before I get in. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Yes, ma'am. The question was, why do only seniors get off-campus lunch? We do allow juniors who have practicums go off-campus lunch. A few years ago, and I'm going to say the year I believe was 1819. It was my second year at this high school. I actually advocated, and I said I want to try an experimental year with juniors and seniors, and everybody go off campus for lunch. The bottom line from my perspective is we had too many off-campus issues. And so we had some issues in some local restaurants, and we had some things. I like that freedom, and to be honest, I wish they all went off lunch for an hour and I get a break. But no, I'm not going to say that either. But I say that the answer is I did try that for a year. In fact, we actually went from 3 30-minute lunches. That year we went to 2 40-minute lunches and some things. And our teachers, there were some favorable things about that model. We got longer lunches. It was nice. Our teachers got a little bit, 10-minute more extra break. The answer is we just had to respond to some things off campus more frequently. And a lot of it was just a sheer numbers game. And so that's my answer. I don't have anything else other than that. And one of these days we may relook at it. I've actually talked to superintendent a couple times and this team a little bit. I'd love to maybe one day make that a second semester thing that we, what do you call it, a carrot that we dangle out there, maybe for a reward system for behavior attendance, whatever you want to do. So it's always in the back of my mind. There were a lot of things I liked about that model. I think right now, my answer though is just with our experience, it was, we just had too many problems. So it's a good question. And I do appreciate the why questions because they are important a lot of times, and I appreciate that from our parents. Anybody else? All right, we'll keep moving. Parents, if you're new here, I always say I did this for the teachers. I did this last year. I always want to make sure we're on the same language. When you're at Kennedale High School, for instance, tonight I said our meeting's in the auditorium. Some of you have never been here. This campus was built in 1998, I believe. We're entering about the, 25th year, almost the quarter anniversary of this campus. But this campus was not built all at one time. This was part of the main building. When this main building was built, this was the performing center, this auditorium you're in now. Behind you, by the way, is what we call the old band hall. Okay? And the choir room are just behind you in this room and next to the gym. But just a couple of things about our campus. Since the original campus was built, the Kennedale ISD, we're very fortunate. We have a 1,000-seat Performing Arts Center. So notice the difference. There's difference in the terms, these terms, like this is the auditorium. Our Performing Arts Center, or what we call PAC, is over there. It's a much larger facility, houses our band now. The old band hall is actually behind us. We converted that a couple years ago for our cheerleaders, our archery team, our drill team, and some other groups. We call that the multi-purpose room. Our superintendent, Mr. G, he refloored that facility. As those teams didn't have a space. Our cheerleaders got a locker room and all of that out of it. But if you went here 25 years ago, you might have known that as the band hall. So that's a little bit different. We also have what's called the media center. When the football stadium was built, after that was built, there was a large indoor facility built with the football field over there, where soccer uses it, band uses it, football uses it. Nice weight room, great locker rooms, great facilities for our kids. And on that is a media center, or a auditorium-style large classroom that seats about 100 people. It's where our board meets. So it's on the opposite side of the home field bleachers. But with that said, the other thing is this high school is a little different. Most of the time when you go to high school, you go to the office, right? You'll notice our high school is a little bit different. When you walk in, the offices are split. We have one that we call the main office. The other is the AP office, and I'll go through that in just a minute. Here's an aerial view. By the way, it's an old picture. Our football stadium got resurfaced with the track. Looks a lot better now, thanks to the Kennedale ISD Board of Trustees redoing that, and also we got new tennis courts out of that. We got great facilities. Our high school has, and our kids have advantages. We have turfed baseball and softball fields. If you hadn't been back there at a game, you ought to. It is very nice. We have 3 gyms here in the main building, but there's some things that I said. Now, by the way, we have that large indoor practice facility that wraps around the stadium. We also have what's called the old or the original field house. So anytime we say field house, that's just right out the back of the school there in the back door. So know where those things are located. And then students, if you're here, you're going to learn, and parents, here we have hallways. We have really 9 main hallways, and they cross-sect. We actually have some hallways that are not named. I don't know why they're not named. They just aren't. But our main hallways are there. You can see there when you come in, the bottom of your screen is the front of the building, and then the gyms areas is the back of the building, okay, or the what we would call the east and west ends there. So. With that said, notice our office is split. The AP office, when you walk in, is on your left. It's got the nurse and our assistant principals. The counselors and myself, we are on the right. So just kind of know that we've got those separated. But our hallways here are divided by subject, pretty much. So we have really math on 100 hall, 200 hall is science, 300 is English, 400 is 400 is also Lotte or languages other than English, and the rest of our science rooms. We have a small hallway. This right when you see the exit doors right there, that is actually what's known as the 600 hall. It runs through the cafeteria and then out into the student plaza over there by the gyms and behind the kitchen. But the newest part of the interior building is actually the 800 hall. You guys came through the side doors. The 800 hall, you'll see a difference in the walls. They're not cinder block. It's actually drywall. And that 800 hall is got social studies, some special ed, but it also is the start of CTE, or career and technical education classrooms. And then upstairs, above that, is the 900 hall, which completes our CTE department and is really a nice thing for our Kennedale High School students. All of our CTE courses are housed in this building. They don't in Mansfield. They do have a large center, but some students, to be in programs, have to leave the campus and go to another to be in certain programs. They don't here at Kennedale High School. We offer 11 programs and strands. At Open House, we'll have Miss Middleton tell us more about those at our fall open house, which will be about the 3rd week of school. All right, so that's our 900 hall. We got some neat programs. We can print lots of things. We got a print shop up there that print posters. We've got an AV program that can make films and news and stream things out on YouTube like we do. We have a health science program. A lot of things. Your kids are going to have a lot of good things. I'm Mr. Cagle. I said I am the principal, but with this, down to my right is my administrative team. I want to talk about our administrators and counselors. Their roles are different. I actually have 3 new members this year. Some of our administrators have moved on. Miss Browning from last year, who's been with us for a long time, she got her first principalship. And so we wish her the best of luck. But I want to introduce our team. But also, parents, this presentation is important. Look down there for roles. If you have a student in a certain program or certain grade, this is your contact. For instance, I do ARDS for 10th and 11th grade. So if you have a 10th or 11th grader in the special ed program, you know your contact is me. So we'll get this information on the website, and this is not complete roles, but these are some major ones that our parents need to know. But I'm going to ask our administrators down here to stand up so that they can be recognized. The first one is Allison Middleton is our CTE CCMR coordinator, meaning career and technical education and anything really having to do with college, career, and military readiness. Those are some of her roles, all the way from AP testing to coordinating those 2 programs I mentioned. She's also our dual credit coordinator. Any parent with a question about on-ramps courses or TCC courses, you can contact her. And this year, one of the new roles that she has is GT coordinator. If you're a student or parent of a GT student, you can contact her with questions. She's going to be helping coordinate the district's GT showcase this year. And then I have I misspelled your name, Dr. Robinson. I left off an S, but this is Dr. Jock Robinson. He is our new associate principal. He's a 12-month assistant principal. He is our campus behavior coordinator. He is also, if anyone has questions about our Title IX program and our equity programs, he is our coordinator of those. He does discipline and attendance for grades 10 and 12, and he also does the ARD facilitation for those 2 grades as well. 12th graders, if you're out there, and 10th graders, he's really your go-to AP this year. And one of the things, if you are required to have an individual graduation committee meeting, then you'll see him at the end of the year. And then we welcome from our junior high, she is not here with us tonight. I believe she left. It's Miss Angela Bruce. She was at the junior high last year. She's come up with this group of kids. She's actually going to serve as our academic dean. She's going to be our campus testing coordinator, but she's going to work primarily with our 11th grade students with a lot of things. If you have a student in our dyslexia or English learner program, she is going to be your main contact. And then we have Nanette Tate. She was an assistant principal intern. She knows a lot of the kids at the high school because she used to teach kindergarten and special ed at Delaney Elementary. But she has now finished her master's degree program, and she is now a full-time assistant principal. She is our dean of students. She's our 504 coordinator. For all grades. She is one of our accelerated learning coordinators, and she does discipline and attendance. Where's all my grade 9ers? I know I had a lot. Freshmen, where are you? This is your assistant principal. Hopefully you see her on good terms. Okay? But we want to welcome our administrative team. We are really excited about them. We had a new counselor. We have Miss Hunt. I'll get to her in just a minute. I put Miss Long first. She is new. She comes from North Mesquite High School, which is a very large high school. Freshmen, very important. All freshmen are required to do what's called a personal graduation plan. If you missed registration, you need to make an appointment with her or schedule a time to come in and talk to her about your kid's graduation plan. Every freshman in the state of Texas and their parents must sign a 4-year plan. At least have a plan. That plan can change, but get a plan together for graduating. But she does a lot of things here, and that's Miss Long. I still had Miss Hunt's email on there. I'll fix that. And then we have Miss Hunt. And notice this year, if you'll notice with both counselors, we're not doing grade levels by counselors. Remember, your APs are going to be by grade levels. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have our counselors, they're going to stay with your children now for 4 years. We're going to do alpha. So A through L go to Miss Long, M through Z to Miss Hunt. All right, but they have some different roles. And then, by the way, we partnered in Kennedale ISD. We have a social worker. Guys, our social worker is new, came from Lake Worth High School. As if you worked with Miss Thomas last year, Miss Highfield is here and is great already, done a lot of neat things. But I want you to know, parents, the resources they have are not only for our students, but for you as families. They've helped some families get furniture for homes. They've helped students in need of eye exams. They've helped students in need of school clothes. We've helped families that are having other transitions or issues. They can help get outside counseling for your students. They have They help us do a lot of our programs at our school, schedule speakers and events. We do everything for Kennedale High School. We already have scheduled for this year presentations on suicide awareness. We have bullying presentations, and they help arrange a lot of this. But our social worker, if your kid needs help, you can email that address. And you know, your kid may still have anxiety with coming to school and COVID, and you know, I don't know, death in the family. This person can really help out and find programs and things. I'm told that CSS, I'm going to say it was 88, so I'm going to say they have access to about 90 outside organizations they can help you and your family with, and that is a great resource that we have at Kennedale High School. Our lead nurse, if you have a student with health needs or prescriptions that need to be turned in, you can contact Ms. Vasquez. She's been here for a long time. She is the lead KISD nurse. But if you have any questions for her or any needs, if your student has allergies, if we've had some severe allergies before or things we need to know. We're going to talk a little bit about policies. I had a parent talk to me. They know that we're going, a lot of schools are going to a little bit more, a little stricter cell phone, more consistent policy about cell phones in classrooms. And that's been all over the news and everything. But I had a parent that told me, hey, Mr. Kegel, my child has their glucose thing on their phone. Well, yeah, we want your student to have that. Okay, so understand your children with needs, whether they be medical, 504, special education, dyslexia, English learners, we want them to feel welcome in our school, and all of their needs are going to be taken on an individual basis. All right, so please know that, parents, and understand if you have anything we need to know, you can always email any of the contacts I have on here. Our school board has got the mission, vision, and goals. Everything that we do revolves around those. I say that the Kennedale ISD reimagined the vision last year. We had a motto that was committed to excellence, and last year they changed that in that we want to engage, enrich, equip, and excel, those 4 E's, every student in the district. They've got missions and goals. I'm not going to read those to you, but everything that we do and try to do is try to be aligned with the board goals that they've set for us. And so I want to remind all of our parents and students out there, and I've put those in this. I've got a lot of key changes and updates up there. There's a lot of things that we're going to do. Some of this is what I put in our teacher presentation up there. I'm going to read some of the ones that we can see. One of the things we got feedback from our teachers on is we need to have less interruptions to our instructional day and calendar. So and when we have things like the PSAT, I'm going to go ahead and schedule some other events that we might schedule on other days normally and try to get them all into one day so that we have less disruptions. We have a new start time, so people say, Mr. Kegel, why? We liked coming early and getting out at 3. Guys, last year we did our campus needs assessment. For the first time in 5 years, our attendance rate plunged. And that is our official attendance that's based upon was during our 4th period, which was about 10:15. When we actually looked at the data, it was even scarier first period. Kids coming back from COVID just were not coming to school regularly. We learned we had 100 students, that's about 10% of our population, had 20 or more absences. And we did everything we could to help. But first period was a significant problem with tardies and attendance. And I've said over years, we've had the debate 7:30, 7:00. There's a lot of research, there's a lot of things, there's pros and cons to everything. But I knew that this year we had to try something different. So if anybody out there says, well, who wanted all of this? They can always blame Mr. Kegel. I was a big advocate of this because we simply showed that our data showed that our kids were not showing up to school after COVID in the morning. Not all of them, but our attendance rates were awful. Our tardy rates were awful. I know that Miss Tate's sitting in front right down here, and she can probably tell you, we looked at that data this summer. But anyway. We're going to try that this year. First time in a long time. It's cultural change. It's difficult change. And for us who like that mornings, like me, it's going to be hard. It's going to require some shifts. But here's some other things. There's some other advantages of why we did that. Does anybody here have a basketball player? What time is a varsity basketball game on Tuesday or Friday night? It's about 8 or 8:30. Okay? That doesn't change whether we get out at school at 3 or get out of school at 4. Band concerts, what time do they normally start? 7:30. Choir concerts, about 7. That doesn't change whether we get out at 3 or 4. All right? We have a lot of evening events. We have a very active student body. It's one of the glorious things about being principal at Kennedale High School. We have an extremely active student body. Now, with all that said, I'm hoping that all of our workers and all of our students will now get an extra hour's sleep when they get done with those things in the morning. Okay? Now, I do know there's some downfalls, and I know right now band is looking at me going, we practice till 9:30, Mr. Cagle, because we start later. And I know there's some trade-offs and some things. Like I said, the 8:30 may favor some, it may not. But we'll do that this year. That's what we've decided to do and talk with. If that doesn't work, I'm sure we can make a change next year. All right? Parents, I'm asking for your support. Okay, we're going to make the best of this. We're going to try this. My biggest thing is we got to get our kids back in school. We got to get them back on schedule, and we've got to get them learning again regularly, like it was the year before COVID closed us down. Okay, and so that's what I'm asking for your help. So whether you're for it, whether you're against it, right now I'm saying this is what it is. Let's all try to make the best of this and move forward and do the best we can. Okay? We'll make some adjustments. Yes, ma'am, I got a question on that. All right, that's a good question. I will get to that in just a few slides. Can I hold that? The question was, for everybody at home, what's the earliest they can get dropped off? Okay? All right? It's a great question. Anybody else on any of this? I'm going to get to some of those schedules. I talked about open enrollment. We've got some new teacher mentor programs, so that's some good news. The district's providing training through TEA for some mentors that are going to mentor some of these new teachers. We got some changes to STAR. Parents, we're going to do more writing in our classrooms all over the place because every STAR test now has writing on it. That's different. They're not all multiple choice anymore. It's not just the English test that has writing. Now there's going to be short response on every test. And then the assessment calendar changed. Biology got moved up to April instead of May. House Bill 4545, I've got some slides in here, and because I'm taking a little bit longer on some other things, we've moved into phase 2. This bill, if you don't know, if a student fails a STAR test, we're required to give them 30 hours of accelerated instruction. Now let me explain to how that impacts the high school. If they failed last spring, we owe them 30 hours of accelerated instruction. If they failed again in June, we're required to give them 60. The next retest is in December. If they fail again, now we got to give them 90 hours of accelerated instruction. That's state law. And parents have asked, can I opt out? No. There's no opt-out in law. Okay? It says, schools, you must do this because we're concerned with kids who are not testing at grade level. And rightfully so. But I kind of want to put that out there with parents. Our kids, our performance, STAR performance last year was a lot lower than it was pre-COVID. So we're gonna fight back, claw back, and get us to where we're supposed to be. But I need you to have that talk. Parents, what can you always ask, what can you do? Have that discussion. I think a lot of our kids didn't realize the impact that, hey, those tests count now. And there are accountabilities and repercussions for those things when you don't pass. But also, we're trying to be aggressive in planning and scheduling. So if you see an accelerated or an AL course on a kid's schedule, note that's why it's there. We got a new district. We've been in districts with mostly Fort Worth schools. We are in football. But next year we move south again. Midlothian Heritage went up to 5A. So we're going to go with Alvarado, Hillsboro, Ferris, Godley, and some of the southern. We got a new district in a lot of sports, including basketball, volleyball. It's going to be a little bit more competitive than what we've been in. All right, guys, that are in sports and athletics. So just be ready. It should be a fun ride. Great schools, great competition. And then we've got some new safety protocols. Guys, you are going to see this school change. We have clear backpack requirements. And I'll get to some of your questions on that in just a minute. We're going to have a new alert system to help keep our kids safer. We are working on communications, making sure every teacher has a way to communicate in a crisis, and we've got some new technologies and some new things that are coming out, and we're working on campus signage. We are doing some safety audits, and we are working closely. We're providing some training for teachers. I know the Kennedale Police, they actually put us through a drill yesterday that jarred a few of us to kind of prep us. Say, hey, if we ever get in a situation where we've got to keep Kennedale kids safe, we need to kind of be prepared. They kind of woke us up to one of the things in a crisis situation, whether it be a tornado or a weather-related event or something like ugly that happened down in Uvalde, we've got to be prepared for our kids. So we've had a lot more training under our Director of Safety, Mr. Spruill. So notice that some of those have come, but guys, students. All right. If you're a student out there and you're watching at home or watching this recording or in this auditorium, one of the biggest changes and emphasis that you're going to see is that we will have consequences if you prop doors open, all right, for other students. And that's one of the practices. We know that we get students over there in the student parking lot. We're going to ask all students to come in and out of the front door, with some exceptions of the back entrance whenever athletes are going out the building. If we do not have a manned entrance by a faculty member, you got to come through the back door, or front door, sorry. And that's off-campus lunch. That's here. This is a safety protocol that we cannot ignore, and our administrative team is dedicated to ensuring the protection of our students in this building. So if it's an inconvenience for band students to walk around, athletes to walk around, we're going to do that. I have a question right down here. Is that Jaylynn? All right, Jaylynn, zone video. All right, she asked, yep, we're going up against Alvarado and Godley in debate, and Ferris, and a couple other schools. So, yep, get ready. We got some tough competition. We're still going to win. All right. I didn't say that. All right. But anyway, those are some new things. If you're new here, if you've never been here, those are not new. It's just the way they are. So, and we talked about Chromebooks and those kind of things. We are trying to do a better job. I said kids came back and parents came back and school was new all over again. And one of the things we realized last year is, and our teachers realized quickly, is we got to be more clear on our expectations for students so that we know students we learned last year were not just going to come back and know how to do school. So this year, students, we're going to tell you how to do school. We're going to tell you what your expectations are. Parents, you're going to see them in Mr. Kegel's emails, text messages, Facebook posts, newsletters. You're probably already seen some posters. Well, we'll go through dress code in just a minute, but you're going to see some posters that I've ordered and we're plastering all over classrooms and buildings. We've got some common, what I call, student expectations that we'll go through. But parents, one of this is a board-adopted dress code. It did not change from last year. So we've had some updates the last couple of years. So there should be no shock to any returning student on what the dress code is. Now we'll have class meetings and we'll go through this, but this is what it is. This is board-adopted, and they did not make changes to it this year. So students, no surprises. But some other things. Parents, if you're out there, we're seeing some common issues I've put up there, but our expectation is for all students to follow the dress code. What are some problems we have? We have shirts with midriffs. I saw about 107 of them at registration. Okay? Summer's over when that school bell rings, but midriffs not showing, and some things like that. But athletic shorts and pants. Now, everybody who fought Mr. Kegel, I'm going to give you a general rule. And one thing I'm going to let everybody know, the campus principal has the ultimate say in dress code decisions. And so, of course, we have our guidelines here, but when it comes to those judgment decisions, parents, I'm asking for your support on those. Sometimes we have something that says no athletic shorts. Okay? This day and age, that's hard to define than it used to be. 1980s and 90s, you could wear, I knew what mesh athletic shorts and gray sweatpants looked like. So now there's some of those decisions. I'm just asking you to please be supportive of our administrative team. But here's some things in that if you've got shorts that are made of nylon and rayon and polyester or a lot of those synthetic blends, if it looks and feels like an athletic short, we're probably going to deem it an athletic short. Okay? Those right now are not allowed. Okay, we had discussions over the summers. Our superintendent asked us, do we want any changes to dress code? And I said, Mr. G, I said, that's hard to tell. I've got a lot of people right now, a lot of teachers that have been here for years. They want us to go and be stricter like we used to be. It's about 50-50 because with some of the discipline issues we had last year and they saw some of those things, they related. They're relating in their brain, less dress code, less discipline. And so notice this, and that's why we didn't recommend any changes. Let's do this. We need to keep it the same. We need to be able to go over these expectations. Guys, a couple of things parents and students will cover right off the front. There are a lot of things that we do that also have safety involved. So as you read this, you go, why can't we wear flip-flops? Because if we got to evacuate this building, you don't want to be running in flip-flops. This is a safety thing. We require backs on shoes, not because we want to control every aspect of your life, but because those things are safety related. And then finally, another safety issue. Parents, as you talk to your students, they will not enter our building this year without an ID on. Can I have your help on that, parents? Any parent at home, any parent watching, I need your help in backing me in this. I need to be able to identify who belongs here and who does not belong here. Students, I need your help. This is a safety issue. So any students out there, don't be surprised. Every day your expectation is to follow the dress code and wear your ID. A new expectation, this is new. You're required to have a clear bag or backpack to come to school. Now, I probably will not be able to field all the questions that you have about clear backpacks in this session. The good thing, there's a link right here that you can go to. Again, I'll send this out to you, but it's on the Kennedale ISD website. Miss Rabelais, that does our website, she did a great job in doing a FAQ section. Now, I'm going to tell you a couple things. You got to have a clear backpack or bag. Now, inside of that, can you have a lunchbox? Can you have inside of that a pencil pouch or something that's not clear? Yes. Does anybody know how many you can have? Who read the website? Anybody? I'm testing our students. All right. That is in the frequent asked questions. I got a hand in the back. What's the limit? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. The question was, have we considered long coats in those? To be honest, I don't think that that's an issue anymore. I haven't seen a long trench coat style worn in schools. I mean, APs, y'all tell me. I mean, I don't think I've seen maybe one or two in the last, since I've been in Kennedale. It's not a fashion trend and things. I mean, the one battle that we're fighting probably is hoodies on heads. Not being able to see people, not being able to do those things. That's another thing I'm going to ask parents to help us out with. Remind kids. Kids like the comfort of that hoodie, and sometimes I do too if I'm out there. But that has not been an issue in Kennedale anyway. I don't think. Yes. I want to look at something, and the question is, will it be addressed? Absolutely. If we see anything suspicious, and I want you to remember, here at Kennedale High School, we typically have an SRO that stays here most of the time. We have a school resource officer. We have 2 security guards. Y'all probably know Mr. Maddox. He's coming out of retirement back to at least work half the time. And Mr. Lee that are up here. So we got 2 security guards. We got 4 assistant principals and a CT administrator. We got 5 administrators. We got lots of good eyes on campus. So we've got 2 different ways for kids to anonymously report things. I'll say this, the team that we have and the kids we have, I'll tell you what, guys, no one does a better job protecting our campus than our kids and our parents. And I'll say this, whenever there's something I need to know, I know that group right there pretty well. They are very good at getting me information in our AP team by the relationships we build. But if we see something suspicious, we're on it. Okay? Last year we've got some reports. They were vague reports. One of our parents is now, she worked at the K-9, not here, but in the district. One of our parents works for the K-9 unit. We can call them, get them up here, and we can sniff backpacks from anything from, I don't know, from drugs and alcohol to illegal guns and ammo. They can sniff the gunpowder out of a used shell. So we've got a lot of resources. Kennedale's a great place and great support, but you're right. We see something suspicious, we're on it. Great place to be. But I want to go back to what you said, and I want to go back to this, and it's the actual reading of what we've got here. Some things right there. If we do see some things right there, you'll see if something is causing a distraction or is completely out of the ordinary or disrupts the educational environment, we do have the right to have it worn down. We're asking for no head coverings, no things. We want to be able to identify people. We're asking for student IDs. But you guys can read the language. What I was looking for is outerwear. Right there. Okay, so everybody see where it says outerwear? If you get that, if students have on bulky jackets and things, by definition, we can ask them to remove it. So if we have an unnecessary trench coat or a ski jacket or something that conceals lots of things, we by our board adopt, this is a smart policy, yes, we can ask them to remove it by our own dress code. So that's not something that many people worry about. You know, in Texas, of course, there are parts of our building, I'd say that air conditioner gets going and it can get pretty cool. But, you know, I say this, you know, and when you're talking with your kid, let's have them dress responsibly. If they're going to bring a jacket, let's bring a light one. All right? Does that answer your question? All right. So, clear backpacks, we have clear backpacks. It's another safety measure. Actually, I went online to look at them. The good thing is a lot of them range between about $12 and $25. I'd say we're the bulk of them, but you can get some of those actually more cost effective on Amazon than some other backpacks. And so anyway, if they got a backpack, there are some rules there. You can have some things in them. We always, I'd say that, you know, the concerns, we always want our students that have medications or health products to be able to keep those in a container inside that backpack that do not embarrass them. And, you know, parents just know that. There's some common sense. Look at the frequently asked questions thing about that. I will say this, there's a lot of common sense here in the way that this was drafted by Kennedale ISD, and I appreciate our leaders for that. But if your kid has athletics or drill team, we have a lot of kids with band and all those things, of course they might need to bring a bag beyond the backpack that has stuff in it. Our kids are active, okay? Our policy says they can bring those as long as they're put where? In a locker. They cannot carry those from class to class. All right? So if you have an athletics locker, if you have a band storage or whatever, get them in your storage. If you need a locker here at the school, we passed them out during registration. But let's use common sense. But during the day, we're not going to lug around unmarked bags around the school. And that's part of it. So that's part of the protection. Read that. It's very common sense. Kennedale ISD, by the way, sells a $20 backpack. Jalen. Yes. The question was, I have two backpacks so that I can bring my athletic clothes in one and regular stuff in the other. The answer to that is absolutely. All right? And so Mr. Kegel's going to model. I'm going to carry a clear backpack as much as I can. Okay? And I'm going to try to model that. And so, just no athletic bags. I do have the note, guys. If you got band instruments, we can't put that in a trumpet in a clear container. I don't know that they sell one. So, common sense. If anybody of our parents out there, again, is having financial issues and those are an issue, let us know here at the office. We'll try to help you out. But we've come up with some things, parents. We've got 6 things. We've identified, we said we wanted to do a better job of training and teaching our kids how to do school again. Being clear with our expectations with parents, with students, with teachers, so that we are all on the same page and we don't have to have arguments and things about what's expected. So for instance, you're going to see these posters plastered all over this school. There's 20 big ones, and then every teacher is going to have these posters in their rooms. Okay? They're going to be in newsletters. They're going to be some stuck on doors and windows. Students, your expectations. You are expected to wear your ID. Your ID may not be on your backpack. It must be on your person. This is a safety issue. You may not tamper or mess with the photo ID, they may not be destroyed. If they break, which sometimes they do, they're kind of flimsy, we are going to replace one for free if you lose it. Each additional one will cost you $5. Ink and printing are going up, so the cost of those replacements have gone up. We're also going to limit the number of temporary badges. This year, our temporary badges will actually go through the Raptor system. Is that correct, APs? And they're actually going to have your photo on it. So you're going to have temporaries. You're limited to 3. After that, you're going to have to purchase one each and every time. Parents, that's a responsibility thing. So if kids cannot take them home and all of that, maybe they need to get an extra backup at the beginning of the year or something like that. If they're like me, I got about 3 or 4 ID badges because I just seem to lay them around somewhere. So, but know that the expectation, students, staff, we must have our IDs on. Now, I put some flexibility in there. I like my ID on my belt. Okay? So, and I don't like lanyards, and they pull hair and all of that stuff. And they can become a safety issue. So students, you must wear one either on your neck, on your shirt with a clip. I've got lots of ways, but you must have it on you. That's a clear expectation. The next one, been on the news in a lot of districts. We got to get back to the business of learning. Okay? The biggest distraction in my staff meetings with my teachers is what? Cell phones. We've gone to a no cell phone stance in our professional development, and we are doing that in classrooms as well. Students may not use cell phones during instructional time. Students, if you know that going in, you're going to be better off. Our teachers at the beginning of class are either going to collect those cell phones in a tub, in a holders, or in a charging area or something like that, or they're going to ask you to put them away. Okay? And parents, how can you help us again at the school? Please encourage please be supportive of that. If you need to contact your kid and it is a real emergency, I guarantee you can call that office and we'll have somebody down there quickly. All right? If you really have an emergency, but with this, I'm asking for support on this. We got to get back to the business of learning. All right? Your students, max, will not have their cell phones for 45 minutes. Now, if we go to an emergency situation, I'm going to tell our teachers, make sure those kids have their cell phones in hand. Okay? So, with that, notice some things. Our teacher have gone some training. People get very protective. If I went over and tried to take your cell phone, what would you tell me right now? Jalen's probably told me, no, I'm not giving you your cell phone. But that's what you would tell me, okay? But with this, here's what we're going to do this year. Here's what you can expect. If you do get your cell phone out and you have it out during class, we're simply going to politely ask you to give it to the teacher to put on their desk for the remainder period. You can have it back at the end of class. At max, you're without your cell phone for 45 minutes. Okay? And then you'll get it back. If there's a refusal, then it'll be a disciplinary referral, and you'll see the APs. That's a simple process. It's easy. There should not be anything. Parents, I'm asking for your support on that. We're going to try to be clear. But by the way, I told our teachers, if the kids have their cell phones out during a test, they're cheating. And I say that, not all of them, but it is becoming there are apps out there, and I know this because my nephew had one. He could scan a math problem, it'd answer it for him. Okay? So they know. They can Google it. All right? I told our teachers, kids like music. Play appropriate music, and music that is research-based to help them. And so we had a speaker that talked about that today. So there we go. Those are some common issues that we had. Everybody knows their expectation. We are changing our tardy procedure. We chased kids everywhere in every school across the nation last year. Our students are expected to be on class on time. I want to remind every student, we had some students who didn't realize the consequence of poor attendance and tardies until the end of the year. The state of Texas requires that you be present 90% of the time in a course. That means you can only have 9 absences before you fail, and those absences are for any reason, except for a few. All right? We've gone to this policy, no more tardy stations at Kennedale High School. We learned that when kids were tardy, we'd chase them all over the building, and then where would they say they're going? Tardy station. They're gone. Kids, if we see them in the hall, we're going to simply tell them, get to class. If they don't get to class, we're calling you, parents. So notice that. We have a 10-minute rule. 10 minutes, you're tardy. After 10 minutes, you are absent. All right? Any student that shows up to class after the 10-minute mark without appropriate pass or some reason that they were out, an excuse, a note from the front office that said they were at the doctor or whatever, they're going to get a discipline referral. Food and eating areas. I said we had late lunches. You guys need to know. The next expectation, this comes directly down from our Director of Nutrition, is no eating in unauthorized areas. Okay? No eating in classrooms. Guys, we've had a range of problems from custodial shortages that empty trash and all of those things. And I see some hands already up on that. But here's the thing. We have designated some areas as eating areas. We do have some students coming in this year that have severe allergies, and we've got to keep those things in mind. I want to remind our students with off-campus lunch, you may not bring food back to campus. And parents, I'm going to say this, if you got food deliveries, we are actually required to put those students in different separate eating areas. So we've designated some eating areas for that. But I've got some food expectations that were not clear last year, so we're going to be clear this year. So parents, students, you may read through that, but I do want to speed up here, but we're going to go through this a lot more with our students. I do want to remind parents that Uber deliveries and DoorDash, and I don't even know what else other. Third-party deliveries are not allowed on campus, and they're not allowed down the street for you to pick up, students. So just remember that. We also have some things, and this is our poster for off-campus lunch. I think the one thing that I forgot, we do have some students that did qualify for off-campus lunch. One of the things I forgot to put on here, if you don't have off-campus lunch and you leave campus, that's a disciplinary referral with a consequence. So we have issues with students that transport kids. So we've made clearer, if you did the off-campus lunch application, you know that we've put a lot of things on there. But those are our off-campus lunch things. Some changes this year. We had a lot of kids that would go to Chick-fil-A. What do we know about Chick-fil-A at lunch? Or Chicken Express? Everybody goes there. And you only got 30 minutes. My expectation here is students with off-campus lunch privileges are expected to act responsibly because they got a plan. They can't go to Chick-fil-A every day and wait in the 45-minute car line and then show up an hour late or an hour later and then want to eat in their classroom. That's what happens with off-campus lunch. And moms that asked the question earlier, that's one of the reasons we do limit to seniors, because that's some of the problems that we have. All right? Now, with that, people need to plan ahead. Don't go to the busiest places to eat. I always tell the kids, if you're spending $10 a day at the fast food joints to eat, that's $50 a week, that's $200 a month. That's a lot of money. Plan ahead. Don't go to places that are as popular. Make sure you can get back. One more question. Do you have off-campus lunch? The question was, can I go with a sibling? You can if both of you have off-campus lunch privileges. Mom answered that question for me, so that was good right there. So, and your sister cannot bring you back lunch. So that's part of that. Now, Mom can bring you lunch. That's a parental right. But sister, do not bring her lunch. All right. Boy, there's going to be a lot of conversations on Facebook about Mr. Kegel tonight. All right, it's going to light it up on the mom's page. All right. Anyway, but guys, hey, one thing. We've got to have rules. We've got to have expectations. Here they are. These are the expectations. Some things. Please note, a lot of these expectations are in place because of issues that occurred last year. We had a lot of attendance issues during lunch because people were taking so long. Then they were showing up late. Then they were putting food in classrooms. Then we had custodial shortages and no one to empty the trash. Then we have pest problems. Okay? Please understand that when we draft this, it's not to be draconian. It's to be reasonable. And make sure education is the focus, not Chick-fil-A. Okay? Which is great, but just know that. All right, hall passes. If you're in the hall, you're expected to have a pass with somewhere to go. One of the things that we are also going to do this year is every teacher is going to limit how many times a person can leave class. Now I see a few of you shaking your head already because we had too many frequent people leaving class too much. The whole purpose of all of this, everyone, is to make sure our kids are in class and they are learning. They don't have their cell phone out to distract them. They're getting back from lunch on time. And if they need to leave the hall, it's for good reason, and it's not every day and every period. All right? So please understand our intentions here. If someone's reached their limit in each class for passes, we're going to be reasonable. If they got an emergency or have that, they can go to the nurse's office. She's got a restroom. All right? But we are going to limit those things. The other things is that students need to plan. Okay? If they're going to make purchases, and we are going to have some drink vending machines. I'm going to take maybe a snack machine, but I am going to have the ice cream vending machines removed here pretty soon because those were an issue. But if we're good with things, we might bring them back. Who knows? But right now, we got to get things under control. But right now, hall passes with our frequent flyers or people that have problems with staying in class or disruptive behaviors, they may have hall passes restricted. But those are the 6 expectations that we defined as a staff, and we are going to follow through with uniformly. Okay? I don't have 7. I don't have 10. I stopped at 6. Okay? And the dress code. So I guess it's 7. It's the big 7. Yes, ma'am. No, let me go back. The question was, are we going to get in trouble for using the bathroom in passing periods? The actual expectation says that, I believe, is that students are expected to, or they should use the restroom, get belongings there during the passing periods. Number 4. That's a great question. That is actually written in. That is the expectation we want students to follow. All right, everybody. I'm going to skip on. I'm going to move. This is some stuff you need to say. Here's a Kennedale ISD calendar. What's great about Kennedale ISD? We got 2 spring breaks for kids. Okay. By the way, anybody on the academic and debate teams, this year your spring break's not when those competitions are. So you actually get to miss school this year. So we planned around those. Thank you to our planning team at the DEIC for doing that. Great job with the parents and teachers and representatives on there. But Kennedale ISD has a favorable calendar. We're going to start on Tuesday the 16th. Remember, we start right at 8:30 a.m. So the parent asked earlier, I didn't forget, what time can I drop my kids off? All right. Our doors will be here we will open our front doors at 8 a.m. I got to make sure I got to have staff on campus. Now, admittedly, I'd say our AP team will start showing up about 7:45. Here's the answer to your question. At high school level, it's been very hard. Over the years, I've had kids dropped off very early and in the dark. I don't want your kids up here so ridiculously early. It puts them them in danger and the district with liability. Okay? So I would say this. I'm glad right now we're starting later because I no longer have kids out here sleeping on the front foyer area in the morning in the dark, sometimes all alone. So at least I think by the time you drop them off, it'll be light. Okay? I will say we'll also have a lot of student organizations now in the morning doing morning this, morning that. So I do feel better that we're going to have people staged. But what you can drop them off, that's going to be a parent call because some of you do have to get to work. Okay? That's one of the hard things about starting later. All right? You might start work at 8 o'clock. But I would say to parents, there's no official time that you could drop your kid off out front. I guess some of you might want to drop them off after the summer now and pick them up after school ends next year on May 26th. But, and that was Mr. Kegel's attempt at being funny. It didn't work. I had one laugh out of that. But with that said, parents, just use some reasonable common sense. We're going to have some people up here. Cross-country coaches and teams can be up here at 6 a.m.? Volleyball works out at 6 a.m. There will be some people up here, but we will not have really staff. Our administrators will be up here about 7:45. Okay? Everyone starting, Miss Middleton will be up here at 7:30. No, I'm kidding. She said no. But we will open our doors at 8. Okay? That's when our buses arrive. Breakfast lines are there. That's when we have people here to monitor and protect your children. Okay? If you need to drop them off at 7:30, I feel better about that this year because it's light. There's going to be more people around and things like that. Okay, I don't know, what time were you wanting? Does that answer your question? Okay, if you're dropping them off at 6:30, just know that's 2 hours before school starts. I can't promise we'll have supervision. Breakfast is 8 to 8:45. We do have some students with late arrival, but that is some start times. Any questions just about the general calendar right there? Oh, I got some questions back there. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. This everything. Now there are I'll go back to let me do the question. Let me do one question at a time. We got people watching online. The first question was about the 90% rule. Now that is a shortened version of the Texas 90% rule. This is passed by the state legislature, not Mr. Cagle. State of Texas says for a student to receive credit in a course, they got to be in their seat. They call it the seat time rule. 90% of the school days. So if there are roughly in our district about 170 some odd school days, we would go with 18 absences for the year. So now remember, high school works on semesters. Your child can only miss roughly 9 classes before they lose credit. Now, if kids get above that, we had COVID year and some things. Now, there are some things like religious things and medical appointments during the day where students come back where we medical code it. There are some things that don't count. But whether it's excused or unexcused, a student is still absent from their seat, and yes, that counts against them. But it's about 9 per semester max. Per class period. Now, I'm going to say this. In the last 2 years, yes, COVID-related absences have not counted. I'm going to say, administrators, do you know what the decision was made on this day? I still think they get up to 5 days that don't count towards that for COVID. That's a great question. Okay. Question in the back. I'm sorry, I can't see that far. Yes, ma'am. Well, the question was, why are there no metal detectors? So I think that's a question. Let me say this. When you have a school and you think about that as a principal, there's a fine line in having a school and then something that feels like something else. All right? I think there's a stigma with metal detectors at the front doors that would say, there's something else. Now, with that said, my thoughts on that have changed probably over years and the way society and the way some of these mass events have come up. So the first thing is why don't we have them? Well, we don't have them right now. My second answer to your question is I hope we don't have to. But it is certainly a conversation we're having. Is that a need in Kennedale ISD? So the first thing I would tell you is that it is a conversation we're having. We do not have them now. We have moved to some protocols that we feel are going to keep us safe here in Kennedale ISD. We, at this high school, right now at this time, if someone were to ask me, Mr. Cagle, do you need metal detectors at that front door? I don't know that I need those, or that we need those right now at the front doors. That statement may come back to... Can you say it again? I'm sorry. You're absolutely right, and I hear your concern. I'm not disagreeing with anything that you say. These are the discussions I know that we've had on our leadership team and in safety meetings that probably our board members think about, and what protections are we having. We've taken some additional protocols, and we've put the district's invested in new cameras in security. We're about to put in bulletproof vestibules, safety vestibules, an additional bulletproof wall entrance at our front entrance and some things. We have gone to clear backpacks. We have had increased safety trainings. We are doing safety audits and looking at our locks. We've gone to a new entry system with the magnetic stripes. We've done a lot in the last few years. And so with metal detectors and those kind of things, that's something I would say as principal, I'm probably not totally opposed to, but I think right now I hope that the steps that we have are going to be enough to keep our campus safe and all of those things. But of course, our parents, I would say, you know, I am here with you and I'm hearing your concern, and I'm certainly going to take that back to every meeting I go to. It is a very difficult call, I think, as a leader, as a principal, on how much needs to be done. What do we need to do in this day and age to keep our kids safe? And I hope that we're taking enough steps, but I'll bring your concerns up in our meetings going forward. Yes, ma'am. Okay? Oh, no. You're right. Can I just repeat what you guys are saying here for everybody's listening home? Oh, we got a couple of parents in there, and they're commenting. If you're watching YouTube or going to watch the recording, they're saying we've got lots of safety concerns, not just weapons in our district, and they've brought up why don't we have metal detectors? Do we need metal detectors and those kind of things? I'm going to let the parent finish. You had a train of thought. After being principal for 8 years, I'm going to agree with you 100%. I've seen all kinds of things come in the building, and some unexpected things. And there's different types of weapons. There's different kinds of drugs. There's different kinds of, who knows, alcohol, things they don't need, things that can be dangerous to children. You're absolutely right. Again, I hope that we're taking the steps there. I will tell you, we're discussing. There's nothing left that we haven't discussed. In fact, you know, it's little things. I'm working on signage right now, putting up signage in our building to make sure our students know not to prop doors open, because sometimes it takes a literal sign in front of your face to say that, even though we've said it 100 times. But you're right. We're hoping some of these additional steps will limit and stop as much as we possibly can. All right. I'm going to go back to the metal detectors. Our administrative team does have wands on a needed basis that we do use here on occasion when we feel like we need to use those. We do those when we have a reasonable suspicion that there's something present that we need to search for, and that's the best way we can do. And so we do have those resources available to us if need be. Again, I say we have a very good relationship with the and proximity to the drug sniffing dogs or whatever you call that, the canine units that are here locally. So again, I say Kennedale, the other part, you know, you guys know we have a special relationship and location. If you know anything, this high school right now is in Kennedale, and the street is where? When you're on Wildcat Way, you're in Arlington. And whether it be the Arlington Police, Kennedale Police, the fire departments or whatever, the great thing here at Kennedale High School is that we've got great cooperation with all of those agencies in any situation, and they have got great response times to any of our needs and things that we've had. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And I'm going to repeat on here, the statement was that the parents in the back And I'm going to move on for the sake of this. Right now, I don't have a metal detector at the front door, but it is something that certainly we'll continue to discuss. Is that okay for right now? Okay. I appreciate the feedback. That's good feedback, though, and I appreciate you guys coming to the meeting and us having those discussions. But anyway, that is our calendar. This is the bell schedule. Somebody asked about that. A few things. On the left is our normal bell schedule. Now, I'm going to show our student schedules. All right, students, you ready? You've been here for a long time. Students, we have 8-period day, but this year, not only are we starting later, we added some minutes to the day. We had to add, because we have all of those 30 minutes, or 30 hours of accelerated instruction to give all the students. We couldn't fit it in all the places we wanted. So STEM students are going to have to do some accelerated learning. If they couldn't fit it in their schedule in the class period, they're going to have to do that during what we call the study hall period. Now, study hall period, do you see where it is? It's between what and what? Third and fourth. But where is it on the schedules you were given at registration? Okay? The study hall period is between third and fourth period, but on your student schedules, it's actually, it's the 0 period. Okay, so it says 0 period. By the way, everything, if you have 0 period, that's where you are during study hall, which is between third and fourth period. That is our 0 period. It's how we scheduled it in the scheduler. So we go 1, 2, 3, 0, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You clear on that? Parents, 5th period is our lunch period. So students will either have A, B, or C lunch. Okay? And I'm going to show you that in just a minute, where you can find out which one they have. All right? But your lunch, your student's lunch period, the people in B lunch will have a split lunch. Now, we also have some different schedules for our semester exam days. It's too early in the year to even think about that. Just looking at that a little bit closer. There's a little bit closer look. I'll put it in this PowerPoint of that schedule. Those are some key features of our 8-period day. The good thing about an 8-period day is by the time the kid gets to be a senior, I'm skipping a lot of slides here, by the way, that went over the accelerated learning program. I'll get to your student schedules in a minute and how they can tell they have lunch. I'm going to put this on a website. This is our teaching master schedule. This is going to show where teachers teach. In all of those things, you'll see again, study hall is between third and fourth period. It's color-coded by department and by subject. Some different things that you're going to see this year. If you have a freshman, you don't know this, last year they had athletics 5th period. Because we moved to a later start time, we're moving athletics at the end of the day. Some other features of our teaching assignments, we know that 6th grade moved where? To the junior high. So we're having to share our choir teacher and band teachers with that campus. So a couple of things, those have affected the flow of things the way it's been the last couple of years. Our band teachers will spend most of the morning here and most of the afternoon at the junior high. Choir is reversed. Choir will be there in the morning and here in the afternoon. Now that does pigeonhole a lot of students. When can our kids have choir classes? In the afternoon. So there's some things and sometimes some choices your kids had with scheduling. All right? I do want you to know that we're going to have, all of our teachers are going to be required to have one formal tutorial session. I'm going to send parents a list of tutoring times so that they know when their kids can get help outside of school hours. We have a study hall period. Some students during study hall will have accelerated learning. So if they have on their schedule, on the 0 period, if they have an AL course, that means they've got to do accelerated learning. All the other students that pass the STAR and do not have that will have free study hall. They're going to have study hall. They actually, during that time, may play on their phones, study. As long as they're not disruptive and be respectful of other students, they will have a 15-minute break there in the morning. So that's a trade-off for passing all your STAR tests and taking care of business. So you either have, during that 0 period, study hall or those things. I'm going to get straight to this, parents. I know that some of you have been here quite a while. We've got a little bit longer. This is your student schedule. So if you looked at it, there you go. That's what you saw. Where is the study hall class? It's where? 0 period, all right? But that is actually, you can tell your friend's going to be where? Between what period and what? Between third and fourth. Now, how do you tell what lunch you have? That's by teacher. Look at your 5th period class. And by the way, you can't see this on the Parent and Sender portal. I don't know why, but they don't show numbers on there. So they've got to have the schedules they had today. But if you do get your schedule, student, look at your 5th period teacher. Behind the room number is your lunch. So this student would have what? They're in room 308. What's their lunch? B. All right? So your lunch assignment is behind the room number, 5th period. I want to remind all of our parents, we do have a lot of options for kids. One that was added last year, and again, I'll put this on there, is something through Hazel Health. Your kid can go to our nurse's office, and if you sign up for this service, they can do a virtual doctor's appointment from our nurse's office and all kinds of other things. So we have a lot of health services that were not there up to a few years ago. Parents, if anyone knows me, it's that I will communicate, over-communicate, you're going to hate my text messages and emails. For some, that's great. For others, it's annoying. I don't know where the balance is to make sure that you're informed. I hope I do the best job I can. But every week, I say on Sunday nights or Monday mornings, I'm going to send out the calendar. I try to keep a comprehensive list. There's as many things going on this campus for you as possible. That's the one thing I can do as principal. There's a lot of things I can't do. That's the one thing I can do. I say that if you get a newsletter, students, this is to help you. Our students are so busy. I will literally have students up at this school from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. most nights of the week with this, that, or the other. I got several of you right here. All right? Or 2 or 3 days a week at least. Okay? We are different than a lot of places because our kids are so involved, and that's a great thing. Parents, to help you keep up, I send this out every week. Read those newsletters, students. You'll be ahead of your friends, and who knows, I might bury a Sweats Day pass in there. The last thing, parents, to help you and students is to stay connected. We have 3 primary ways of communication besides email. The 3 things, our Facebook, we don't do Instagram, we don't do the other, I don't even know what you're on anymore, TikTok. There's no Mr. Kegel hashtag videos out there, all right? But we do Facebook, we do Twitter. That is our Twitter handle. It's your KHS principal, and that is run by Miss Middleton. It's not Mr. Kegel. She's right down there. I run the Facebook page, and so I run Facebook, she runs Twitter. Those are 2 ways that you can connect with us. So if you're too young for Facebook, get on Twitter at least. The other thing that I'm going to recommend is that everybody in this room download the Kennedale ISD mobile app. Whether you go to Google Play Store or the Apple Store, and the other thing is under settings, choose to get you choose which schools in the district to get notifications from. Anything I send out in email en masse goes to an app and goes to your phone. You never have to check your email hardly. Unless you're looking for personalized things. The other thing, it has that app, inside the app, it has links to My School Bucks, the Ascender Parent Portal, all of those things that you need, and it also has a way to watch what we call the stream of any social media post of the schools you choose to get notifications from. It is a cool app, and it's integrated by the same company who does our website. All right? So parents, students, how can you help me? How can you help yourself? Stay connected, stay involved, stay informed. All right? Parents, I said this was a lot. I plan to be here an hour. I think we've been here almost an hour 45. All right? And I apologize for running long, but I don't apologize for staying with you and talking with you. You got kids coming. You got anxieties. It's a new year, so do they. We're going to have an open house about the 3rd week of school, so y'all can come meet the teacher. Hopefully we won't have a sewage pipeline leak and the school smell odd when you come in the side door over there. But we're going to have a chance for you to come into our building, and we're going to have some more informational meetings for you to choose from on that same night. We're going to have some outside agencies talk about college and planning and all of this stuff. We might have Ms. Middleton do the CCMR program. I can't remember. We have some things lined up already, and we may have more coming. So our open house is more than a meet the teacher night. I appreciate all of you coming. I'm going to do one last question and answer. The other thing I'm going to ask you to do is, if you were here, can can you come up and sign in? Our documentation of our parent involvement is something we keep track of here in these meetings. Parents, what questions do you got? What anxieties do you have? Students? Got a lot of students here tonight. Y'all nervous? Yes, ma'am. No, well, if they came to registration events, they have their IDs. So, students, how many of you got your IDs made? A few of you. So, if they came to the registration events, they should get their IDs there. Okay? If you haven't attended it, now if they're a senior, they'll be here tomorrow. If they are in grades 9 through 11, they're welcome to come on senior day because, frankly, our seniors find it cool not to come. So, and we expect actually less students tomorrow. But if you know any juniors, sophomores, or everybody, they can come tomorrow. All right? We're trying to get as many of them knocked out again so that we have as little disruption to the educational environment during the first week of school as possible. All right? Any other questions? Hey, if you guys want to come down, please sign in. I got some sandwiches left over. Oh, I do have one in the back. I'm so sorry, guys, the lighting. I didn't hear the last word you said. You said, what about? Pick up. Okay? Pick up. We try to shoo them out of the building as soon as the bell rings. No, I'm kidding. They're high school students. We try to get them back in your house. No, I'm kidding. So we have our buses, by the way. I haven't gone over that. We'll send that in the newsletter. They drop out up front. They pick up and take off out front. Our students usually, a lot of students stay, but if they drive the bus, they usually all go out the front door, and the buses leave about 10 minutes after the last bell, and they go on their way. But it's a pretty quick, it's an odd phenomenon here at a high school. The first of the day is a lot of traffic and going on, but I'm telling you, about 15 minutes after school, and especially when we get out at 4:10, unless somebody's here for a reason, there won't be many people in this building. Did that answer your question? Anybody else? Well, with that said, I want to thank Mr. Rosser and our AV department. We're going to log off now and of YouTube and stop that. I'll put the link out for parents and everything. So with all that said, I appreciate everybody coming. If you have any questions, you can talk to me or my team.